So the wind today is blowing quite strongly down what used to be the original Brooklands airfield runway, which is behind me. In fact, it still qualifies technically as a runway and is used for light aircraft fly-ins to Brooklands Museum. These days, though, its more normal use is as a driving course for Mercedes-Benz World, where members of the public can drive around at high speeds and in comparative safety. In fact, although there's quite a large amount of tarmac showing, the runway was actually too short, and it was really the reason why the runway closed with the increasing size of post-war aircraft. Early aircraft did not need very much space in which to take off and land, as long as they could do so into the prevailing wind. Any field was a potential landing ground, provided it was suitably flat and smooth, and large enough to use in any direction. At Brooklands, the wide level space in the middle of the oval 1907 motor course was ideal. Pioneer pilots set off in their basic aircraft and headed into whatever direction the wind was blowing, knowing that there would be sufficient space in which to take off. In time, however, these basic craft became larger and heavier, requiring a longer takeoff run. By the 1930s, the use of Brooklands as grass surface was inevitably focused on the longest available space, which was the area aligned approximately north-south from Railway Straight down to the Byfleet banking. The concept of the fixed runway had arrived, and the fact that it was constrained at Brooklands by the railway embankment at one end and the racetrack banking at the other was not a problem until the end of the Second World War. By then, aircraft were not only larger and heavier, they were increasingly powered by jet engines, the thrust of which was really not compatible with a grass surface. In May 1951, the prototype of the Vickers Valiant jet-powered V-bomber made its first flight from the nearby Wisley airfield, which Vickers had acquired during the war. Its runway was considerably longer than that at Brooklands, but still had a grass surface. It rapidly became apparent that the runways at both airfields would need to be paved in order to accommodate the development and production of this new bomber. At less than 4,000 feet long, the one at Brooklands was uncomfortably short, and part of the racetrack's Byfleet banking had to be removed to allow for a safety overrun. Most subsequent new aircraft production at Brooklands, particularly Valiants, VC-10s and BAC-111s, required their first flights to be made at minimum weight to allow a short transfer across to Wisley, where all fitting out and flight testing would take place. The last complete aircraft to be produced at Brooklands was a BAC-111 in December 1970, after which the runway was taken out of operational use. But in spite of major development of the airfield site, much of the runway surface still remains, and part of it is still indeed usable by light aircraft.